Hi guys, thebubsbee here, and I wanted to do a brow routine. I get a lot of questions on how I do my brows, how they look so thick and full, and I wanted to do a brow routine for you guys. So if I don't do my brows in a video or in a tutorial, you guys can revert back to this video. Just a disclaimer guys, everyone's brows are different. I just want you guys to take the tips and tricks that I use and implement them into your brow routine. My eye shape and my brow shape is different from everyone else's. So just because something doesn't work for you, you can tweak and adjust things so they can work for you. Stay tuned guys to see this brow routine. With any makeup application that I do, I usually start off doing my brows. That's why there's no foundation on my face. So first, I usually take my spoolie, and this spoolie is by Sedona Lace. It's their EB17 brush, and it has an angled side. It's an angled side and it has a spoolie side. So I think spoolies are very important when it comes to doing your brows because they just groom them into place. So first I just start off with just brushing them up and over. And this is how my brows naturally grow. I like to freehand tweezing my brows. I know some people aren't comfortable doing that and you might like to go get them waxed and threaded. Personally, I used to get those done all the time and my brows used to be very sparse and thin because I was letting someone else do my brows. Tweezing for me is the easiest. I have threaded my own brows before and I really don't like the motion of doing it, but I've found that tweezing isn't as harsh as waxing and threading. I know waxing will make your brows kind of dip down when you get older, so your brows will sink. So that's why I personally use tweezers to tweeze my brows. You can literally get any tweezer you like. This tweezer, the tip is kind of fat. It's not as thin as I would like. I do have another one that is thinner than this and it's actually easier to use, but I don't know where it's at the moment. So I do use these just in case I can't find my other ones. The natural shape of my brows are both different. They're not the same. Remember that eyebrows are sisters. They're not the same. They are totally different. So all you can do is just adjust them, but you never want to change the shape so much to make them look the same because they will never look the same. So as you can see right here, I have all these straight hairs and that's exactly where I tweeze at. See, it's more thinner here and thicker up here. I usually tweeze down here and I do start at the bottom and tweeze and then I will tweeze at the top. So if it's easier for you, you might want to use both hands and hold your skin taut, meaning to spread them apart and start plucking, but I'm used to tweezing my brows so I don't have to use it, but it does help. It does make your hand a little steady. So I'm just going to pluck these extra hairs. Things a little easier, I'm just gonna brush my hairs up just so they're not like hanging down and covering up the areas I need to tweeze. As you can see, my shape is more defined now, so it's definitely coming along. And if you can't freehand tweezing your brows, you can outline them first and then tweeze whatever's left on the outsides of those lines, or you can use stencils. Okay, so now since I have a rough outline of how the brow is looking, I will just brush the hairs down. So this brow, as you can see, is a little higher than this one, so You can kind of see where there's little sparse hairs up here, and I will tweeze those. So I just bring those hairs down so I can tweeze up here. Now I'm just brushing it. Now you can see it's more defined up top, and this is kind of a rough outline of what I'll do, and then I will tweeze those hairs that I have in front, because I do have a semi unibrow. Just put those out. Now I'm gonna go in with my Dipbrow pomade, and I'm gonna use that angled brush. And the thing about the pomade, you don't want to wipe or swipe this in here. This is very pigmented. You want to take a little bit at first, and I kind of just wipe it off on the side, so it's kind of just a little bit on the tip. And then I like to outline the bottom of my brows and then outline the top. A rough line, I do start to fill it in, and I fill in mostly on the tail because that's where it's very sparse at. Go back and forth with the spoolie, and you want to just brush the hairs. This will disperse all the pomade, so then it's not too choppy and full at one end. You want it all to be very blended together. I usually go in with my Milani Brow Fix Kit in 03 Dark Brown. And I use this bottom shade right here. Since this shade is pretty cool tone, I like to use this. And I use the same angled brush, I dip it in, and then I start to fill in the brow to make it look fuller. If you don't like your brows this full, you don't have to do this step, but I like to do this step because it just makes everything kind of married together, and I like my brows to be very full. So when I get to the front, I use even more light strokes. I don't use a lot of product in the front because naturally our brows are thinner in the front, fuller in the middle, and thinner on the ends. So I like my front to look more realistic, so I don't use as much product. So now since it's done, I go in with concealer. I usually use my MAC Studio Finish Concealer in NC50. This concealer is very thick and creamy, and I like to use this for my brows only because it is thick. And I like to use a concealer brush. This is a Morphe G10 brush. It's just a flat synthetic concealer brush. I like to use these personally. You can use an angle brush, you can use a definer brow brush. It doesn't really matter. It's really up to your choice on what you like to do. I do go on top first. This just makes the brows look neater and clean. And then I go down on where the tail is. And then I just blend it into my skin. And I usually use a lighter concealer for underneath my brows, depending on the day. But right now I'm just going to use the same concealer, the same skin tone concealer for underneath my brows. But if you do use a lot of concealer, it helps to just liften up your brows. For an extra final step, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like to do this because it keeps my brows in place. So I do use a clear mascara or gel or a brow gel to set my brows in place. You can use this one from Maybelline. It's just a clear Great Lash mascara, but this isn't as strong and it doesn't give me that great of a hold since my brows are pretty thick. So I don't like to use this unless I'm just going out real quick. But usually I will use this spoolie brush that comes with that clear mascara, and I will use some of my Eco Styler gel. I just have it right here on the top to a jar, and I literally will just put this through it. And I will just rub off the excess of it. You don't want a lot, you don't need a lot to set your brows. You just want to coat them. So I just take off the excess as much as I can. And then I will brush the front of my hairs up because I like the front to stand up. And then I will take it through the rest of the brow. What's the cost of $1? And I will just comb these up or down just to fill in the gaps of my brows. That's why I don't like to trim my hairs. Usually people will trim their hairs to make them shorter. I don't like to do that. I like to keep the length of my brows. So you see this sparse area right here. If I just use the brow gel to set it, it kind of camouflages and it looks more realistic and more like my hair. This is how my brow looks. This is the finished brow, and this is the unfinished brow. As you can see, there's a big difference from this one to this one. This one is completely filled in, looks nice and crisp. This one just looks crazy. Hey guys, thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope you guys learned something new to add to your brow routine. You definitely don't have to do every single step that I take, but you can implement certain things into your routine. You can make your brows look thinner to make them look not as full if you want kind of an everyday brow, but I personally like my brows to be fully thick and full. It's just how I like my brows to be. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next one.